Welcome to Beyond the Strikes, and I'm delighted to say we're joined by your new favourite fighter, Jose Perez. Jose, how are you doing today?
How you doing, Edward? I'm good, man.
I'm good as well, thank you very much. And you're on a two-fight win streak at the moment, and a fight in a Cage Fury 112 in August. How's the preparation going?
This I'm actually I always used to think it was funny when fighters would say that like this preparation is the best ever, but no, genuinely, as far as things go, I really feel like my preparation for this fight, I got to the point to where I feel I can honestly say I'm prepared, like way further out. I've been lucky enough to where we've got four of my teammates fighting on CFFC 110 this Friday. So they're kind of 4 weeks ahead of me. So as they were getting ready, I was getting ready. So I'm kind of 4 weeks ahead of where I think I normally would have been.
Oh, that's awesome. Really awesome. Well, honestly, we can't wait to see you fight. And we've had a really fun week watching all of your pro fights this week. And we've noticed the confidence and technical ability is just incredible. And that banana split submission in your second pro fight was absolutely insane. What other crazy submissions have you got in your locker?
So basically anything. So if you've ever heard of it, so that funky way that you lock up that leg for the banana split, it's called the truck.
Mhm.
So I I just naturally take the back that way. You can kind of see it like in some of my other fights, like Jalen Reed. That's how I set up to put that second hook in is off the truck. So I mean, the slicer, the truck, maybe the twister, but I'd really have to force it. And I feel like that one's kind of one of those more well known, like rare submissions. So like if I try to go for it, they're gonna be more aware and defend it a little bit quicker. But the banana split, I gotta wait. I'll hit it again. It won't be the last time, but I just gotta let a little time pass and let people forget that that's in the repertoire. And then when they're least expecting it, that's when I'll pull it out.
I love that. We won't mention it again, don't worry.
Yeah, we got to keep it hush.
Gosh. And for us, it's really clear that you're like the full package of a fighter, like really all-round fighter. And were we right in seeing you make that cage walk in your high top Converse trainers?
Yes. So I call them Chuck Taylors. I don't know what you call them, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just call them Chucks. That's so the all white, specifically dirty all white Chucks. That's what I wear. I've worn them since I was an amateur. I hate because I like at least now it seems like they're getting more popular with like weightlifting and stuff like that. I'll go to the gym and I see people like, on a bench and they're always wearing these Chucks again. But for a while there, no one was wearing them. It was kind of like a little more rare. It was more of my gimmick, my theme. But I I'm not gonna give it up just because other people are picking it up. But yeah, definitely. Since I was an amateur in 2017, I've been wearing the high tops. That's my go-to.
Yeah, I mean, we love it. It's our go-to as well over here. It's like it's just one of those looks I think that's never gone out of fashion. But like you say, not people haven't been doing it for a while, and yeah, we thought it was very cool. It's just so unique to see someone go to the cage in it. It was great. And
Yeah.
going right back to the start, how did you originally get into combat sports?
So my brother was a wrestler in high school, and he started doing like some amateur fights. Well, back then, like in the '90s, there was no like amateur or pro. It was just fights. All fights were fights. And he was training with a guy named Miguel Torres, who was like a really skinny Mexican dude who had like a lot of hype around him in our area. And when Miguel opened up a gym, all of my cousins flocked to his gym because my uncles, through my brother, knew who Miguel was and knew that he was good. And back then, jujitsu was kind of like black magic. Nobody really knew it, and Miguel did. So I went there strictly for the fun of going with my cousins. And as the years passed, my cousins kind of started to fade and join football or just kind of stop or focus on school or do whatever they were going to do. And it just ended up something that for me transcended time. I ended up just staying there the whole time and never left.
That's awesome. And has it always been MMA for you? Because I speak to some fighters and they have opportunities in other sports when they were younger. How about you? Was it always MMA?
Um, so when I first started, it was just jujitsu, and the jujitsu scene now has flourished. And there's a huge market for guys who just want to do jujitsu. Now there's this kind of weird like gray area in combat jujitsu, but none of that existed. None of that was even an idea in 2004 when I started. So if you did jujitsu, it was MMA or bust, and that was just kind of what it was. And as far as any other sports like football or anything like that, no, I will jam my finger. If you try to throw a football at me, 50% shot, I'm jamming my thumb on it. So I'm just not athletic in any other way, shape, or form. But as far as combat sports go, this has always been the goal. It's always been the dream. It's always been something in the back of my head that I knew was eventually going to come.
Yeah, that's awesome. And can you remember the first fight you watched?
Yeah, the first fight I ever watched was at the Hammond Civic Center, which was where I got my first fight, which was like a big meaningful moment for me. But it was my coach. He was headlining the night. It was Miguel Torres. He was fighting a guy named Joe Pearson, and it was an 18-second flying triangle submission. He just ran across, literally just sprinted across the ring, and it wasn't a cage; it was a ring back then. Ran across the ring, jumped on the guy, got a triangle. I'd never seen anything like it, and before that, I had like kind of in the ghetto. So, what I assumed was like fighting was, like the gangbangers or whatever, those were the tough guys in the neighborhood. That's what I assumed was tough. And that's what I assumed was like, real fighting ability. And to see something like that was like mind blowing. It was like seeing Jet Li in real life, those movies, the little skinny guy who didn't have any tattoos. He didn't talk or wasn't so overly full of bravado, but he just ran across the ring, did his thing, and the crowd went nuts, and my life was changed forever.
Yeah, oh, I absolutely love that. It goes back to what like the UFC particularly was originally set up for in kind of finding out which combat sport is the best. But it was just those early years of UFC where you were seeing people who you'd look at them and kind of think, like, they've got absolutely no chance against this huge guy in there, and then they just take them down and submit them. It's incredible. I love that. It's great.
I did too. That's exactly why I had seen it. I'm like, okay, so I knew there was tough guys in my neighborhood, or what I assumed were tough guys, and then I seen someone that looked like that, go out there and just mangle and completely like just get the whole crowd behind him. And I was like, well, that's it. I want to be a ninja just like that guy.
I love that. And do you have a fighter nickname? Because we absolutely love fight nicknames on it, and we couldn't find one for you, and it didn't sound like the ring announcer was doing it.
No, I think I have a completely generic name. If you look up Jose Perez, you won't find me. You won't find me. So I kind of have a little ulterior motive that so Jose Perez is a family name. I'm the third Jose Luis Perez, but I am the fifth Jose Perez in my family. So it's a Hispanic upbringing. There's everybody names their kids after their kids after their kids, and it kind of ends up a like long line like that. So there was no individuality as far as my name went. Not even in school, there was kids who had my exact first and last name. So my ulterior motive, my secondary goal to not just being an excellent fighter is being the most infamous Jose Perez in the world. I just want to be what comes up when you type in Jose Perez on Google. I want to be what comes up. That's my goal.
Well, your Tapology page comes up when you type in Jose Perez MMA, so you're winning on that search.
Yeah, I want to get rid of the MMA. I just want to be. I want to be able to just Jose Perez, just my name. No nicknames, no MMA, no jiu-jitsu. I'm trying to get there, and I will.
You are undoubtedly, and honestly, we can say we're so excited about your future and kind of watching your career after everything we've been seeing over the last couple of years. It's incredible, and we think yeah, we think you can absolutely reach the top. So it'll be great, kind of coming on that journey with you and watching you get to the top. So really excited for it. And we had a question around superstitions and rituals. So is there anything that you do kind of superstition or ritual wise before a fight that you always do?
Before a fight, no. It kind of changes every time, but I sometimes like I like being on one particular side of like the ring. So when I change venues and stuff like that, it kind of helps me because it doesn't really matter which side I end up on. But
Mm-hmm.
in the 2300 arena, which is the arena that I've been almost like exclusively fighting in lately, I've been blue corner all the time. So this fight, I have a lot more hype than I had before, just because of the last fight, Capaldo, and how that went. So I kind of got my fingers crossed that they keep me in the blue corner. I'm not so sure how that'll work out, but I've been liking being blue corner. I've been kind of like, it's been my thing to hype up the blue corner, and I've been like coming up with stupid phrases like blue corner bandito and stuff like that. But I enjoy it. I like being on that side of the arena because they never change it, since they've been to that arena so many times. The blue corner's always on one particular side of the building. The red corner's always on the other particular side of the building. So no crazy superstitious rituals. Actually, kind of that's really what I've been breaking. When I was in jujitsu competitions growing up, I'd always do the same thing. The night before, I would have a large like piece of meat, chicken or steak or whatever it was. I would do my stretches on the ground. I would, praying isn't so much of a ritual. I still kind of do that, but it's a particular way, just not asking for victory, but asking for protection and asking to like, compete at the top of my abilities. But but no, I've kind of been trying to put myself in situations where I have to break those rituals, and just because it makes me comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. And away from MMA, what do you spend your time doing?
Hanging out with the Munchkins. I got two girls, and that takes up a whole bunch of my time. And we got a little garden here, so we try to do things like that. And I don't know, just be a family man. I guess I'm super boring outside of jujitsu. I don't really have much I do. I like the bonsai trees. I used to, work on leather, things like that. But no, I never really stick to anything. That's kind of my thing. Is I always end up I'll get obsessed over some type of hobby or whatever it is I'm doing and then completely fall off. I can't stick to anything. But the only one thing that I said that's always transcended time for me, I've always stuck to jujitsu. I always come back to that. But everything else in life, I do not stick to. So really, I've just kind of given up on doing that. I focused on fighting for the past 2 years and just been hanging out with the girls when I can, and the free time in between.
Yeah, and I guess so I'm a new dad and I've got a 2-year-old daughter. And I know what you mean in terms of the time you have. You kind of work and then you're with your family. There's kind of not much other time there is really to do stuff.
That's kind of another thing is a big part of this is so regional fighting just doesn't have the finances to fully. I still have a day job is
Mhm.
essentially what I'm getting to. So my mornings shift is spent at work. I get home, I'm there for about an hour or two, and 30 minutes of it is me napping and preparing for that next training session. I get home at 8 and it's like just in time to literally we have a little regimen where I grab the feet and my wife grabs her hands and we swing her into the bed, and that's just our great little like time to put her to bed. As much as that wakes her up right before you put her to bed, but really I get to hang out with her for a little bit after work. I get to literally just put her to bed when I get home.
Mm.
So hopefully, that's what I've been working towards and why I've been going so kind of at that frantic pace that I was going at those every other month fights, and just trying to get to a point to where quit the day job, you know, get a morning training session in, which doubles my workload as far as training goes, but it also opens up a lot of time that I get to, at least be at home. I could drag my daughter out with me to the gym, but it'll open up a little bit more time to hang out with the daughters and hang out with the family in general.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because ultimately, I think I'm a real family man, and I think I love nothing better than spending time with my daughter. And I think it changes you in a way that it kind of gives you that focus and ambition because you're not just doing it for yourself anymore. You're doing it for your family. And have you found that with MMA? Is it kind of giving you?
Huge,
Yeah.
huge. So I had my amateur career in 2017, and I had no munchkins at that point. It was just me, and I think a large part of it was egotistical. I was kind of enjoying, being that guy, that fighter guy. But those like highs and lows that you go through in situations like that, because you'll be the man for 2 3 weeks where people are blowing up your phone and commenting on everything on Facebook or Instagram, and then beyond that point, it just fades and it goes away. And if you're strictly in it for the idea of being the cool guy, that only lasts so long in between every fight. So unless you're fighting every other week, that's gonna fade really quickly. Um, and this second coming has kind of been, I've had time to step away, get a normal job, be a normal guy, a normal domestic guy, just be a dad for a while. And that's, you know, by no means is am I discrediting that or saying there's anything wrong with that. But I think we all have our own individual passions, you know. So I live for my daughters, but I also have to do certain things for me and that are, you know, strictly for me as an individual. And I think that's what fighting is. I found that, you know, in 2017, I did it for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did it for what other people thought of me. And this time around, I do it for me, myself, but also it's kind of a learning lesson for my daughters to see like, hey, you know, they don't quite understand just yet, but when they get older, they'll look back and say like, oh, my dad didn't just settle for, you know, whatever he was told to do or whatever was normal or whatever society told him he should do. My dad, you know, really stuck it out and went for, you know, his passion and went for what he loved in life and gave it a shot while he could.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I really do. And so we on the show, we love merch, and we're wondering, do you have any merch yet?
So Jose has sucked. Jose has had like no sponsors, no nothing for like the first, you know, portion of his fight. I think but same thing, the Capaldo fight really did open up a lot of doors with me. Now I've got a management team and we're actually finally getting some merchandise on. So about a week before my fight, I should have a bunch of t-shirts. So I don't know your address or how far you are or how like you get it shipped there, but I definitely will. If I have an extra shirt, I'll send you one.
That's awesome. And yeah, let us know as soon as we are, and we'll put some posts out as well to get you some people, get some eyeballs on it, because I think like it's just such a, I think fans always want to support fighters, and merch is just such a brilliant way of doing it. And what better than to kind of get a t-shirt of your favorite fighter, and then when they're fighting, get it on. It's just, I think it's perfect. So yeah,
That's exactly what we're trying to do. 1 week before, we should have everything. But you know, up until this point, it's just been solely focused on, you know, tunnel vision on just the act of actually fighting, not really kind of promoting or doing anything like that. But with everything that's happened in the past couple months and with that last fight, has definitely opened up some doors to do that. And now it's time to capitalize on things like that and start promoting more as far as like merchandise and you know, obviously social media and stuff like that too. But yeah, definitely, I'm excited too to have that.
excellent. So next question is a hypothetical question for you. And the question is, you've been booked for a talent show, but you can't showcase MMA. What would you do?
Oh man, that's tough. It's definitely not singing, and like I said, it's not football. Uh,
How good
I've got like no talents. I've got the weird like party trick talents, like stupid things. All right. I'm gonna do it. All right, I got some funky shoulder blades. Don't laugh at me, guys. Don't laugh at me.
Wow.
Except for whatever reason, I can like pop out my shoulder blades like one at a time or two at a time or kind of make them dance. And I used to tell my daughters that they were wings. So no, I'm not a very talented guy, not outside of the cage at least. You know, I've got my little thing going for me in the cage and I'm riding out till it dies. But aside from that, pretty boring guy.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. I don't know. It's one of those things you don't know if you like it or you don't like it, but you can't help looking at it.
You think I'll get someone with that? You think I could ride that one out? Get some money for that?
I'm not sure. America's Got Talent. I'm not sure if they if they have that on it.
Yeah, I don't think so, but that's all right. That's all right.
So honestly, it's been a real pleasure catching up with you today. It really, really has. We've got one final question for you, and the last question is, what would you like to achieve in the next few years?
So first and foremost, obviously, the main goal right now is to get to a point of financial stability where I can double my training load. So I'm not really a physical specimen, not at this point. It's just been martial arts and my know-how in the situations that has kind of carried me through. So I think if you, from the outside looking in, if you had no perspective and you've never seen me fighting, so no context, what I should say, and you saw me kind of stand next to like a Capaldo or a Brandon Gate or any of the guys that I ended up beating, you'd think I'd have no business there. So it's really just been my experience in jiu-jitsu and all that stuff and martial arts as a whole that's kind of carried me through. So I think doubling my training load, you know, once I get to that point to where I can quit the job, is going to be like that next frontier for me. And so really just building on my athleticism, but man, I'd like to make a splash. I'd like to make you know, I think that we've kind of got to the status quo where we've believed that the wrestlers or those sambo guys from like Dagestan are the final frontier as far as grappling goes. And I've got a really old school style of jiu-jitsu. And I just really think that we've kind of gone away from it. I'd like to bring back some of that glory to jiu-jitsu that like we used to have. I want to get back to that, like where people look at jiu-jitsu like black magic, like they used to, because I really just don't believe that anybody grapples like I grapple. So I think once I add that athleticism and that extra like training regimen in the day and you know, double my workload that way, I really think that I can make a splash and kind of question people's minds, you know, as far as, because everyone's just already swallowed that they are the greatest grapplers in the world. And I'd like to question that on the highest podium in the world, in the UFC and Bellator and PFL, you name it.
Love that. Well, it's going to be really exciting following your career. It really is. You've got fans in us. We'll be supporting you from London whenever you're fighting. And yeah, just want to say thank you so much for your time and have a great day.
All right. Thanks a lot.